What's new on Grab It TV? Absolutely everything. We've got daily news shows, sports, weather, comedy, inspirational shows, fast cars, and a whole lot more. If you aren't watching Grab It TV, you're really missing out. It's free for you and free from censorship. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Divisional round in the National Football League. You are watching World of Matchups. My name is Dexter Reed, and I am your host this week and every week, breaking down every single matchup in the National Football League year in and year out. We are coming to you live and direct from the Grab It television studios in sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. To my right, my super producer, Mr. Spencer the Wiz on the ones and twos. Spencer, say what's up to the people, bro.
What's going on, guys? Like I said to you before the show started, I don't think there could be a better picture-perfect divisional round matchups. Like, it is just so good. Like, these are the matchups we almost all wanted to see going into the playoffs, and it just ended up working out that way.
It's all come to fruition. This weekend is football porn, folks. You are going to see the games this weekend that I will go out on a limb and say that they will be better than the Super Bowl. That Chiefs-Bills game could be better than what you're going to see Super Bowl Sunday. So, we've got a lot to discuss before we get to the breakdown. The NFL doesn't stop. Lots of quick hitters to go over. So, let's get to it. First, was Super Wildcard Weekend worth it? I don't know. They push these extra games on the NFL. That Eagles' performance was abysmal. The Cardinals, they look like a JV team. I'm not a big fan of having 14 teams in the playoffs. What do you think, Spencer? I think it's a watered-down product. It's almost like an extra bye week. Kansas City beats up Pittsburgh. These teams didn't look very good.
This is what I'll say, and it's probably going to surprise you. I do think it was worth it. Maybe not for the end product, for the playoffs, but the regular season was way more interesting than it had been in a long time, and I think that alone makes it more worth it.
Yeah, down the stretch, teams that really wouldn't have had a shot to get in end up getting in. I know the players don't love it.
No, well, that's the NFL doesn't care about the players.
NFL
We know
doesn't-
that.
Yeah, they don't care about the players. That's a 100% faction. We've been over that a million times. I'm sure we'll touch on that again today. In any case, it doesn't make for good football, but, at some point there's a lot more yawns that are happening versus some of the more competitive games like the Niners and the Cowboys. Who knows? We know anything. We know that Roger Goodell is going to do any and everything he possibly can to continue pushing more product on the field, whether it be a lackluster product or not. Next, Giants, they hire the former Bills assistant GM Joe Shoen as their general manager. Look, Giants are a mess. They got a lot of work to do. They're starting early, and they're going out and they're getting their people. Look for a HC to be brought in here shortly thereafter. Hey, if anybody needs to put Band-Aids on these bullet wounds, it's the New York Football Giants. They find their guy, they land their guy, all before Super Bowl Sunday. Wow.
This guy's taking a big risk in his career. That's the first thing I thought of. He's going from the Buffalo Bills, a very successful franchise as of recent, obviously. And as far as I know, if you get like a chance at general manager and you just doesn't work out because the franchise is really bad or whatever the case may be, I don't think he's going to get another chance.
You're done.
So I don't know if I'd want to go to the Giants. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's career suicide. Who wouldn't want to be a general manager? As a player, as a young kid, you want to grow up and you want to be an NFL player, but not everybody has the wherewithal to make it to the league. But an NFL executive, who knows where this guy started, what clipboard he was holding. This is a big thing. And if you know anything about the New York media, if you make it in New York, you're immortalized. So the Giants need help desperately. They throw this life raft out to Buffalo. They pull in this guy. Let's see what happens. I'm willing to see what he does. It can't be any worse than what Gettleman did the last couple years. Next, Big Ben Roethlisberger has played his last down in the National Football League. Man, I have a heart for Big Ben. I don't know about the rest of you guys. I've always liked Big Ben. Big, strong, 6'6", 240, cannon of an arm. I think he gets a raw deal because of some of his off-the-field antics, and a lot of people feel like he held on a lot longer than he should have. Look, man, it's hard to say goodbye. It is. This is all you know. And I feel like there wasn't a better team for him to go to than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wasn't he wearing black and gold the day he got drafted? I think didn't he fall? To me, this is a Cinderella story that doesn't get enough love. And so they go to Kansas City. They get their doors blown off. They were in the game momentarily, just like everyone thought. But he doesn't really get the swan song like an Eli Manning got, like a Peyton Manning got. You know what I mean? He just kind of is going to go away. I saw an interview with him, and he was talking about, he wants to work on being more godly. He was baptized a couple years ago, wants to work on his Christian values and be more of a family man. And good kudos to him, man. Good for Big Ben. So if the NFL is not going to give you the swan song you deserve, we're going to give it to you here at World of Matchups. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Ben deserves more. 2 titles. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And show them this throw that I found, Spencer, from the Super Bowl when they beat the Arizona Cardinals. My friends, this is the best throw I've ever seen in the National Football League. Period. End of statement. This is a better throw than I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes making a tight spot, Aaron Rodgers making a tight spot. Big Ben won this Super Bowl on this throw. Now, Santonio Holmes had to go up and get it, but you cannot discount the throw. And when you have stuff like this where it wasn't something that kind of fell in his lap to win the Super Bowl, he actually went out and got it. Big Ben gets his flowers from World of Matchups. We'll probably never talk about you again, but we wish you well. The Chiefs should have let you score that last touchdown to kind of go out, but it wasn't for you, and that's how your career ends. Next. Texas GM Nick Caserio says it's more than likely that Deshaun Watson will never play for the Houston Texans ever again. And I think this is the right move. I think that the black cloud that loomed over that team this season was just too much to bear. David Culley got jobbed over the whole thing. I think that you can pretty much kiss Brian Flores going there now because this news has come out. My question is, where does Deshaun Watson end up? Where does he go? What do people end up giving up to get Deshaun Watson? Will Deshaun Watson face jail time? There are way too many question marks surrounding this guy. I think this is the right move moving forward for the Houston Texans. Sometimes you have to cut bait and move on. Next. The Athletic's Chad Graff reports that the Broncos, Panthers, and Steelers are all most likely trade partners for Mr. Kirk Cousins. Now, look, Kirk Cousins had a good year. Kirk Cousins, to me, is like a better version of Alex Smith. His dead cap is insane. The amount of money they're paying this guy is off the charts. But someone's going to take him, especially if Minnesota doesn't want him back. Spencer seems to think he's going to the Panthers. I could see him going to the Giants. I could see him going to the Saints. I could see him going to Denver. There's no shortage of teams that need quarterbacks. And Kirk Cousins is more than serviceable. Your thoughts on Kirk Cousins?
There's a few interesting parts of this whole interaction, and one of them being that his contract's up after this year. So contract negotiations are going to be a part of the trade talks, obviously. His agent's going to be involved in those trade talks, and the teams, depending on the situation. I'm less leaning towards the Panthers now because I don't think he's going to want to sign a long-term deal. Although, if you really think about it, it feels like they're a quarterback away from competing. They have a lot of good pieces on defense. They had a Terrence Marshall this year, DJ Moore. I mean, they have receivers.
They're
and
a poor man's Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
They're ready to go. So they just need the head. I mean, you can't have Voltron without the head. They need that guy. I could see it happening as well.
The one other thing about this that is so interesting is like the Vikings' point is perspective on this. Why do they want to get rid of him? It sounds like they do, but honestly, I don't really see why. I mean, the guy had a great season. Their defense was terrible.
It's terrible.
And they don't have anybody else.
The Vikings are cleaning house when the Vikings don't need to be cleaning house.
I think so too.
I don't know what they're doing. I think Zimmer deserved another year. I think that GM too. Spielman deserved another year. Cousins deserves another year. Look, you're forcing teams into shootouts every single game. get some defensive help. You got a decent draft coming up. There's good players. Why they're cleaning house right now, I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me. Next, the Raiders. The Raiders are actually acting like they have some sense in their head instead of rocks in their head. And they broom Mike Mayock, who I thought was a bum from day one. You know what I mean? Again, I don't know what Mark Davis is waiting for. Pull the interim tag of Coach Bisaccia. Give this guy the reins. Go out and get a guy that Bisaccia can work with, and you're cooking with gas in Vegas. The Raiders, I'm telling you, I've been saying it for years now, they're not a bad team. And after what I saw, even though I don't love Derek Carr as a player, I like him as a person, Derek Carr is going to be a Raider for life. He's going to be a Raider for life. So now we need to get the GM in place to put this whole thing together and make a run at the AFC West. Your thoughts on your team and getting rid of Mike Mayock?
I mean, just the ball on top, thinking about this guy, the Cleveland Farrells, the Jonathan Abrams of the drafts, drafting Henry Ruggs, which, he did end up looking pretty decent before. Yeah. We all know what happened. But
Arnett.
At the same time, Arnett is also another one. But it's not just the draft. Like, the GM has other jobs too, right? He traded for AB, which ended up being a really bad mistake. He read the whole situation terribly wrong. Mm-hmm. At the same time, he let Julio Jones go without a first-round pick. He let DeAndre Hopkins go without a first-round pick.
You could have CeeDee
Lamb.
Lamb.
He had Odell Beckham on the thing, and he went for Deshaun Jackson, who's the worst racist POS I've ever seen in my life.
Terrible.
He couldn't do anything on the Raiders. So every single there's just so many big team needs that they had, and guys got traded for less than first-round picks, and the Raiders weren't even involved in those conversations. That's all I need to know about him as a general manager.
Imagine if he hit on a third of those.
Or one. Just one.
Just hit on one. Mayock needed to go. Was the right decision. Sayonara, hasta la bye-bye. Next, the Seahawks fired DC Ken Norton. We all know that Norton got jobbed here. He's just being a fall guy. We need to start looking at the real reason that the Seahawks are terrible, and it's Pete Carroll. What are you going to fire Ken Norton for? The defense actually was in some games. But no. There's a power struggle going on in Seattle right now that no one really wants to talk about, and it's Russell Wilson or Pete Carroll. One of the two has to go. But no, we'll fire DC Ken Norton. Who are you going to go get now to solidify that back end in Seattle? Who? To me, these fall guys, it's unwarranted. Let's look at the real problem, and it's that the coach wants to run the ball 5 straight times on 4th and 35 when you have guys like DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Russell Wilson. He's an outdated coach and he needs to go, but Ken Norton falls to the Wolves. I'm not a big fan of this move, but I'm also not a big fan of the Seahawks. It is what it is. Next, the Bills had the National Football League's ever first perfect offensive game. Did you watch any of that game?
Well, I watched some of it before it got a little out of hand.
Let me tell you something. That Patriot beatdown, that was for all of America. That was for Deflategate. That was for Spygate. That's for all of America. Okay? Every American outside of anyone in New England enjoyed every second of that beating. And let me tell you something. I think the Bills are in trouble because they may have shot their load. Touchdown, 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 touchdown. All versus a very good defense. Let's not act like the Patriots aren't a good defense. And I call that. I smell that. Josh Allen's a man on a mission. Chiefs are going to have their hands full this weekend. But to think that the NFL has been going on for how long, and this is the first ever perfect offensive game? No fumbles lost, no punts, no picks. A-plus job. They look great. Sean McDermott, flowers to you. Josh Allen, flowers to you. Anyone that rids us of the Patriots way gets props on my TV show.
Well, they learned how to run the ball. They learned that running the ball is an option, and I think that's just changed everything for them.
Give the ball to Devin Singletary, run Josh Allen 10 times, you're going to win 80% of the time. Hello?
You can't just pass the ball.
You can't.
It's not how it works.
Not even Patrick Mahomes can do that. You have to mix in the run. Okay? Run for dough, throw for show. I don't know what it's going to take these guys to learn this. Next, Travis Kelsey is an absolute terminator. The man is an absolute mismatch nightmare. Okay? Most games with 100 reception yards in the playoffs in NFL history. He's one away from Jerry Rice. He could potentially tie Jerry Rice this weekend and pass Jerry Rice in the playoffs. Everyone wants to talk about Kittle. Everyone wants to talk about Gronk. Gronk is a mammoth. We know Gronk's red zone it's just unmatched. It's all world. He's an absolute stud tight end of all time. But let's not act like Kelsey's not on the Mount Rushmore of tight ends. Let's stop. By the time it's all said and done, Travis Kelsey will be the GOAT tight end. I will go out on a limb and say that, and I'll die on that hill. Travis Kelsey's running past fools. I never saw Gronk really run past anyone. I saw Gronk run over people. Travis Kelsey's an underrated blocker, too. Everyone wants to talk about blocking. What has George Kittle done recently? He hasn't done anything. George Kittle had one catch last week. Can we stop with the comparisons? Please. Kelsey is 32 and running fools down. And Kelsey catches everything when he absolutely has to have it. It's time we start looking at this long term, folks. Travis Kelsey may be the GOAT tight end. This is a huge record that he's about to pass, and I think he passes it on Sunday night. Next, this is a sad story, and I like to talk about the kind of crazy stuff that happens in the NFL. You know, Browns DT Malik McDowell was arrested on Monday and charged with public exposure, resisting arrest, battery of a police officer. It was said that a phone call came into 911 that a man was walking around naked near an elementary school, and he was confronted by officers, and then it was a lot of you know what happened next. You know what happened next. Guy's arrested. Look, this guy's had several run-ins with the law, and he's a younger player. He's only 27. His career is pretty much over. I believe that there was an ATV accident shortly after he was drafted, and he's never been the same since. Look, disorderly conducts, drunken stupors. This stuff is real. I'm not ruling out CTE here either. Look, it's either CTE or a bevy of the best drugs money can buy. I'm not walking around naked anywhere but my house, and I'm not even doing that nowadays with the way anyone can kind of see what's going on. And this guy's walking around naked right by an elementary school. There's going to be a lot of things that rain down on this guy's head because this has happened. And this is a black guy for the NFL, and it's also another black guy that you're not going to hear Roger Goodell say a word about. When was the last time anybody heard Roger Goodell say anything about anything? Can you tell me when the last time you saw him even come out publicly and say anything about anything, Spencer? Anything? I couldn't tell you. Where is this guy?
I think the last thing he talked about was probably kneeling. That's the last statement he's made about anything that has to do with the actual game of football.
This guy's in Joe Biden's bunker. Where is this guy? Where is Roger Goodell, and why does he never say anything about anything?
He's in his man cave. I don't know.
It's unbelievable. Big black guy on the NFL. When you think about the National Football League, you instantly go to this kind of behavior. It's sad. It's sad, and no one cares or wants to do anything about it. I mean, Joe Hayden, finally an NFL player, came out and said something. Did you hear him this week? He said, the season is over. If you're out there and you're having a good time, don't drink and drive. Get a car service. Anyone will take you anywhere. Uber is easy. You all have cell phones. He basically went in on his counterparts in the NFL, and kudos to him for saying so. Stop going out there and putting yourself in positions where you can kill people. Stop going out there and using drugs and walking around naked by elementary schools. This has got to stop. It has to. I love this sport, but, man, you're making it look really, really bad. Jeez. Next, a little bit something more wholesome. Nickelodeon. It's back for playoff football, man. I love watching Nickelodeon as a kid. You can't do that on television. It's one of my favorite shows. And so now the slime in the end zone and all the just stuff that's happening to the field, it's back. It's glorious because not everybody's got a dad to teach them about football, man. You know what I mean? And so Nickelodeon is carrying the torch, and they're showing kids about what's happening in the playoffs, and it's great. And this interview is going to go down in my mind as interview of the year. 12-year-old young Dylan.
All right.
Check this out.
Do it all, Samuel. You had a crazy game. You was doing it all. 100 total yards and a touchdown. How does it feel being mentioned as a running back and a wide receiver?
I mean, it's just amazing, man. I don't second question anything Kyle asks me to do. I trust him just as well as he trusts me with the ball in my hands, and I just go out here and give him my all.
Yo, what was going on through your head when you guys knew you guys won?
Man, actually, I thought I got the first down, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Kyle put the kicker out there to pin him back deep, so we didn't pin him back deep. So we got a lot of faith in our defense, and they went out here and got the job done.
So this is between me and you. Do you think it's 49ers year? Do you think you guys are going to the Super Bowl?
I think so. We got one at a time, though. One at a time.
I see you. Man,
Appreciate
great
you.
game,
Thank you, man. Thank you.
And you got MVP last week. Yeah,
Thank you,
great
man.
game.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. Why?
Man, how wholesome is that? I just got goosebumps.
That was more entertaining than any interview I think I've seen on the
That's
NFL
interview of
Network
the
in
year.
the past 10 years.
That's better than anything Stephen A. Smith has ever done.
Because they were having fun. It
It's
was
what
fun.
the game is about. And I'm telling you, man, young Dylan, I'm following your career with a level of enthusiasm that I haven't had for anyone in quite a while. I bet. The guy is just, I'm telling you, this kid is going to make something of himself. If he's not going to rap, he's going to go into sports. And this is what it's supposed to be about. And you can tell how much fun Debo was having. Debo was just like, is this kid for real? Man, okay, let's roll with this. This, my friends, is the antithesis of what the National Football League is supposed to be about. It's about fun. And just think about all those other 12-year-olds, all those other kids that are just like, whoa, man, all right, this is cool. You know what I mean? I saw that, and I was just like, this is what it's about. It makes me wish I started when I was young Dylan's age. I'm starting in my late 40s. This kid is 12. This kid is
It's every kid's dream to be on an NFL field after a playoff game talking to the best player.
I mean, I've been on an NFL field during a Super Bowl, but, like, I wasn't interviewing anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I snuck on, and you know what I mean? This kid's living out his dream in front of billions of people. That's what it's about,
awesome.
man. Nickelodeon, you got it right. Nice to have some good news after some really bad news. Next. Jerome Boger and officials from the Raiders-Bengals game are not expected to work another game this playoffs. Why? Because they absolutely stunk up the joint. We'll go into it more during roaster refs. My question is why now in the playoffs are we trying to discipline refs when they have been absolutely horrific all season long? I don't understand this. Where did this decision to pull these guys permanently come from? Did it come from New York? Did it come from Roger Goodell? Why are we not hearing more about this? Why now? It doesn't make any sense. These refs, they need to be put on some kind of protocol, some kind of disciplinary action, because there were worse calls all season than were in this game. I mean, we know the Raiders got jobbed, but why now? Your thoughts on this? Why are we all of a sudden doing this now?
That's a great point. There's been no suspensions in the
None.
regular season, and we've seen some really bad calls. So it makes literally no sense. It's like only because it's the playoffs. Shouldn't you be fixing these problems before the playoffs start? And then I had the problem. I talked about it last week of the fact that this was a makeshift crew of a bunch of random people who hadn't worked together this whole season. It's like, why is that the solution in the playoffs and not the crews that are in the regular season working together usually?
The best crews should be working the most important games.
The same crews.
The same crews. I don't want to do World of Matchups next week with a different producer. When I'm at work, I don't want my drinks being made by a different bartender. I want to work with who I'm comfortable with. Why are we mixing and matching crews? And why are we not disciplining guys for missing calls? If I spill red wine on a big table, I'm not getting another table next week at my restaurant. Not a big one. You know what I mean? If I fly off the handle here online and Grab It Television gets wind of that, you think you're going to see me next week? But these guys blow it all the time, and nothing ever happens until right now. It makes zero sense, like a lot of other things in the National Football League that we're going to get to here shortly. Next, the NFL fined Bruce Arians, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, $50,000 for striking his own safety, Andrew Adams, during their game versus the Eagles. Now, look, Bruce Arians, I'm not a big fan of this guy. I think Bruce Arians went from no one to someone because of Tom Brady, and now sometimes he's feeling a little bigger than his britches. He was never acting like this when he was with the Cardinals. He was more of a subdued coach. And now he hits a player on the sidelines. Look, don't put your hands on me. I don't care who you are. For a grown man to putting his hands on another grown man and then doing it on live television, I'm not a fan of that. Keep your hands to yourself. Now he's appealing the suspension, saying he was just fired up. This is how we go to war. Hey, man, you can do a lot of other things to get your players galvanized, but keep your hands to yourself. I don't know what Adams did to warrant that. Obviously, he may have missed a coverage or said something. It was right by the Buccaneers sideline, right by coach. So that's information that we're not really privy to. But at the end of the day, man, don't start none, won't be none. I hope your pocket stays lighter, that $50K. Next, former first-round draft pick Damon Arnett signs a futures contract with the Kansas City Chiefs, goes from the Raiders to the most hated rival in Kansas City. Who knows what this will turn into as a Chief? I don't know how to feel about it. He may never play a snap for Kansas City. But who doesn't want more backfield help? Now, this guy is gone from the Raiders, not because he was like a loving choir boy. I mean, there's some baggage that comes with this guy. Chiefs are all of a sudden taking on players who have baggage, which is not something they've done in the past, which goes to show me that they're in it to win it. We're starting to not really look at your character. We want to win. We want to win, and we want to stay winning. So a futures contract, we're looking at 2022, 2023. What's our backfield going to look like? Are we going to retain Tyrann Mathieu? You know what I mean? So all the bodies that we can get, we're going to get. Guy was a first-round draft pick for a reason. Maybe that's what Brett Veach sees in this guy. Either way, Raider fans are happy or not happy. Some of them will tell you this or that. But he's now wearing the ketchup and mustard, and I can't wait to see if he actually gets on the field versus the Raiders, what he will do. Next, Dakota Prescott fined $25K for his comments about poor officiating during their loss to the San Francisco 49ers. At the end of that game, it was hell to pay. Fans are throwing bottles, trash onto the field, you know what I mean? Like players are blocking stuff. And when asked about it shortly after the game, Dak Prescott had to say, I can't remember his correct words, but he basically stated that it was warranted and okay.
I know everything I need to know about this current regime in Dallas, and that it will never, ever, ever win a Super Bowl. Their attitudes, losers.
Loser. Hey, I've heard this call before. I'll bet you have.
Big-time losers. No one in the Raiders locker room in the post-conference said nothing about that horrible blown call.
Yep.
Derek Carr, everybody was just like, yeah, we lost the game because of this, this, and this.
Yep.
These guys were like, oh, the refs, and oh, woe is me.
Zero accountability.
He stunk it up, and he should have taken responsibility. He has now. It's too late. It's way too late for all of that. It's too late.
Yep.
I know everything I know. In the moment, right there, that's his true self right there.
Yep, when people are angry, when people are fired up, when people are emotional, the things that they say are the things that they mean. And I couldn't agree anymore. I'm 100% with you on this, Spencer, and we're going to go in on them in the mailbag Q&A. But just to kind of piggyback off what you said, you're a franchise quarterback. That is absolutely 1,000,000% unacceptable. Can you imagine if Patrick Mahomes said that? I would fly to Kansas City with a bat. I will whoop his ass. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? You represent Chiefs Kingdom. How dare you say some nonsense like that? Now, we're gonna get into Dallas. I ain't gonna go on them right now. I'm gonna get more warmed up. That'll make the rant even better. But he has no place saying that, and now he's doubled down on it, apologized. Look, man, what you say when you're angry is what's real, and you showed us your true colors, Dak Prescott. We'll come back to you here in a minute. So that's the quick hitters, kids, all right? Now we're about to really turn up the gas like we always do every single week with our Roast the Ref segment, sponsored by Heroes and Heating and Air. Medford, Oregon. You go check them out at heroesheatingandair.com for all your service needs. We're going to take a little break here, and on the flip, we're going to break down all the blown calls in the Super Wildcard Weekend round. My name is Dexter Reed. That's Spencer the Wiz. You've been watching World of Matchups. We'll see you in a minute. All right, everybody, you know what it is. Roast the Ref, coming to you live and direct from the Grab It Television studios, sponsored by Heroes Heating and Air. Let's blow these refs up in all their ineptness. We're going to start with the nightmare that took place in Cincinnati when the Cincinnati Bengals played the Las Vegas Raiders, okay? This is every official's nightmare, this play right here. So, let's look this
Five in the pattern, Burrow. Tries to keep it alive.
For the whistle.
Scrambles. Throws it back to the end zone.
Okay.
But was he out of bounds
Now,
first, or is it a
that
touchdown?
whistle it's blown. Run that again, Spencer. Let's really take a look at this.
Five in the pattern, Burrow. Tries to keep it alive. Scrambles.
The ball
Throws
is
it back to the end zone. But was
the
he out of
whistle
bounds
is
first,
blown.
or is it a touchdown?
So, when this happens, that pass is in the air. There's an inadvertent whistle like this. The correct ruling would have been to replay this down. Okay? By the rule, it's not reviewable, but the touchdown should not have counted. Now, this is an unusual situation that even I had to do some digging to really understand, and I listened to Dean Blandino and the NFL really break this down when it happened. There's no way around it, though, because I know the rules of Grab It. I know my rules when I'm at work. The refs know these rules. That play should not have counted. That touchdown should not have counted. The Raiders were in that game, so any points that you take off the board matter. They got screwed. What is it for the last 3 or 4 weeks, Spencer, that is happening in the National Football League where the Bengals are all of a sudden getting every call in the book? Can someone explain this to me?
It's been 30 years since they won a playoff game. That certainly helps. There's a few things with this play. And the first thing that this play reminds me of is when you're in Pee Wee football, literally like the beginning stages, like playing flag football, whatever the case may be, the first thing they teach you is you play through the whistle. Not after the whistle, you play through the whistle. So when the whistle happens, the play's over. Like, that's it. That's like everybody knows that rule who's ever played football.
What does that mean?
Yeah, because you get penalized for playing after the whistle.
A hit after the whistle, 15 yards, first down.
I mean, it's huge.
And literally, the ball is in the air and almost caught. And you hear, can someone tell me why that should not have counted? The refs absolutely blew this, and it's the reason why that crew is not officiating anymore in the playoffs.
Well, here's the other thing, the icing on top that really bothers me. And I'm not saying that's the reason the Raiders lost the game. I mean, running the ball out of bounds on the 1 yard line.
Ridiculous.
Derek Carr throwing one of the worst passes I've ever seen on 4th and goal.
Egregious.
So that was bad. But here's the thing. The NFL said they lied. Their statement was a lie that said, it came after the catch.
No, it didn't.
We just watched it. We
it.
know it didn't. So, first of all, they lied. And then the fact that they suspend the crew means that they are doubling down.
They double down on the lie.
How are you going to suspend a crew but say that they made the right call?
Social media is one of the best and worst things to ever happen to humans. NFL Twitter went in on this immediately. NFL Twitter should be officiating these games because they're like showing you in slow motion. No. And like the rule books, it's not hard to find these rules, folks. If I can find this stuff, you can find it too. They absolutely dropped the ball here. And the Raiders lost because the Raiders lost, but they got to get this stuff right. This is the playoffs. One wrong move and you're going home. Next. No pass interference on Chiefs lineman Mike Allegretti. I love this play. I love big man touchdowns, but he takes Defensive Player of the Year. Well, he'll be named Defensive Player of the Year. TJ Watt tosses him to the ground like a rag doll and then catches the ball and scores a touchdown. Now, I love a big man touchdown, but if you are an eligible receiver, isn't that holding? Isn't that offensive pass interference? I mean, run it again. This is ridiculous. I get that he tosses him, and it was glorious that he did. How's that not a call, though? Am I wrong? I mean, I'm a Chief fan, so don't get me wrong. I loved every second of this. Anytime you can mop up a great defender like TJ Watt, great. But if you are reporting in as an eligible receiver and you do that, that should have been called. Next. Does anyone push off more and get away with it more than Jamar Chase? And I love Jamar Chase. So don't get me wrong. But he does this all the time, and it's never called. All the time. Go look at Jamar Chase's last 20 catches. I guarantee you, 7 or 8 of them are of that variety, and he never gets called. That's offensive pass interference.
Those are game-changing calls.
Those are game-changing
That was third
calls.
down, and that put them in the red zone versus punting the ball.
Thank
That's
you.
literally the big. That's
you
the
have
difference.
to call that.
Come on.
You have to call that, and stuff like that makes me believe, and I know for a fact in my heart of hearts, I'd put my balls on the chopping block over this statement. The NFL is scripted. Just like Spencer the Wiz just says. It's been 30-something years. Spencer wasn't even alive the last time the Bengals won a playoff game. They want new blood in the playoffs. And if you look at the Kansas City Chiefs game, you look at the Vegas Raiders game, they let these guys get away with murder. Go look at the last couple roaster refs. There's a reason why the Bengals are on all of them. Jamar Chase does this all the time. Watch versus the Titans this weekend. Just watch it, folks. Just keep your eyes focused on Jamar Chase. He pushes off all the time, and it's never called. Next, Quez Watkins illegal block. This is ridiculous. Anytime you're playing Tom Brady and the Bucs in the playoffs, expect some nonsense like this. Show me the illegal block. Show me the illegal block. Nick Sirianni is furious, and he has every right to be. Why does the NFL do this? If you're going to do this and you're not going to make it a fair fight, why are you pushing these guys into the playoffs? It's like that one scene from what was it called? Remembering the Titans, where they're just calling it on Coach Bull's team constantly, and finally he goes out there. He's like, "Let these guys play, or I'm going to expose you." He's like, "I'm going to the paper. I'll go to the papers. By God, I'll go down with you, Cletus."
I know all about it, Titus.
What are you talking about, Bill?
You call this game fair, or I'll go to the papers. I don't care if I go down with you. But before God, I swear I'll see every last one of you thrown in jail.
You dig your own grave.
Defense on me!
It's one of the greatest films ever, by the way. But let these guys play. How's that an illegal block on Quez Watkins? Come on, man. Next, same game. Now, they call this a hold on Jason Kelsey. That is a cornerback. How does Jason Kelsey need to hold Tamir Whitehead? Can somebody tell me that? And that was for a 30-yard gain by Dallas Goedert, and they call that all the way back. I have seen worse holds in the NFL every day not get called. Look, we all know the NFL is going to do everything they can to get Tom Brady back to the Super Bowl. If you don't see Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, you played an A-plus game and you got some help. This has got to stop. And finally, might as well talk about Tom Brady some more because nobody gets more egregious BS calls than this. How's that roughing the passer? And then the defender goes to help him up as if to say, "Oh, please, that was just a clean block. Let me help you up. Did I bruise your pussy?" Come on, man. Come on! Enough! Enough of this! How many times do we have to watch Tom Brady get these calls? Versus Kansas City in the playoffs. First down and goal they gave him that. How many times? I have seen worse than this. You touch Tom Brady. You look at Tom Brady wrong. He gets these calls. When does this stop? And this is why people hate Tom Brady. And it's not his fault.
He'll take it.
It's the NFL's fault. Blame the NFL for swinging from his nuts every single day of every single week of every single year. Enough already. No wonder people don't want to see this guy around anymore because the game is not called fair when he's on the field. Tom Brady would not have 7 rings if these games were called fair. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think your football acumen is. You come to the Grab It Television studios and we can break down the tape and discuss the calls that this guy has gotten over the last 20 years that have put him in a situation to win games that they had no business winning. I'm done.
Dad, do we really have to wear bras?
Yes, Dan, this is what people want. Don't worry, you look really cool.
I got the balloon, Coach Marshall. What should I do with it?
Oh, try to get it into the end zone, but be really polite about it.
Welcome back, folks. Boy, That roasting the ref gets me every time. I gotta always just go to the bathroom and calm down after I do that segment. Listen, I'm gonna tell it to you straight. I'm not the person you want to have come to your house and watch football ever, especially if it's my team versus Tom Brady.
I watch games alone. I'll tell you that right now. I can't watch Raiders game around other people.
Yeah, I mean, ask my wife what it was like watching the Super Bowl with me out in public. She was in the corner, just devastated. She hated me for a week after that, but I don't care. All right, it's the time of the show where we talk about, folks, what you want to talk about. We're going to talk about what I want to talk about too, but we give everybody an opportunity to hit us with emails, texts, and let us know. Mailbag Q&A from Rob the Raider, my homeboy. Let's talk about, does Cliff Kingsbury and Mike McCarthy, can their teams overcome them? I'm going to say no, okay? And specifically, Cliff Kingsbury, he looked like a deer in headlights versus the Rams the other day. They had no answer for the Rams. After playing them fairly tough during the regular season, they had zero answers. I mean, the emergence of Cam Akers and Odell Beckham was just too much for them. I'm not so sure that Kyler Murray hasn't taken a humongous step back. Not a little step back, but a humongous step back. And Kingsbury looked lost. His air raid had no effect on that team. Losing DeAndre Hopkins, it hurt, but I don't think it would have mattered at all. And while we like to crucify guys like Matt Nagy, Cliff Kingsbury, let's not act like he wasn't at the top of the list for coaches to be fired at the beginning of the season. He's a college coach. And I don't think the Arizona Cardinals will be going anywhere with him running the show. And then there's Mike McCarthy. If you go back to any show I've done this year with Spencer talking about Dallas, I've said I like them all year until they have to win a playoff game. And no other take. I don't think I had a take this year that was more right than that statement about Mike McCarthy. And you just heard what Spencer had to say about him and that franchise. McCarthy has to go. If I'm Jerry, McCarthy has to go. And Dak's seat is more than warm. I think changes need to be made. Household changes need to be made. I mean,
he only got one Super Bowl out of Aaron Rodgers. And on my list, Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback of all time, skill-wise. He only got one Super Bowl out of that guy.
One of the biggest travesties, me and my boys talk about it all the time, Spencer. One of the biggest travesties in all of professional football history is the fact that the Green Bay Packers, between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, only have 2 Super Bowls. I will never back off that. Tell me a bigger travesty. I will never back off that. And so Mike McCarthy let us down, but I knew he would. You know what I mean? It's like getting broken up with when you see the writing on the wall. I knew it was coming. No biggie. That's who Mike McCarthy is. Next. Which NFL job is the least attractive? Rob's second question. Look, to me, it's got to be the Giants. I mean, what do they have? The Giants got a bunch of broken parts, and none of them fit. Galladay, Evan Ingram is a bum. Saquon Barkley's great, but is he? He's a what-if player. Danny Dimes, overdrafted, overrated, falls all over himself all the time. I mean, what do they have? Sterling Shepard, always hurt. Kadarius Toney, bright spot, but always hurt. Blake Martinez, good, always hurt. I mean, they're just a bunch of mashed pieces together that it's like a puzzle that none of the pieces fit. Why anyone would want to go there, to me, it's beyond me. In that market, with that media, let me tell you, the New York media is brutal, man. I lived in New York for 33 years. If you're soft, you do not want to go to New York because you're never going to hear the end of it. Your kids aren't going to hear the end of it at school. You can't go out to eat. You can't go shopping because you're going to hear it. It's brutal.
Why do you think Kevin Durant stayed away from the Knicks like a black plague?
Kevin Durant's a kitten. Kevin Durant is a kitten. He wanted no parts of the Garden. Let's be honest. WFAN, 66, well, they're coming for your head. This is what they do. And so I would want no part of being general manager or head coach in New York. The Giants are a dumpster fire. It's going to take 5 years to get this team to even be competitive unless a miracle happens and they job a couple teams out of their draft picks. Next, I wanted to throw this on the table because it needs to be discussed, okay? couple weeks ago, every other second of every other minute of every other hour of every other day or night, there was a different person being put on the COVID protocol in the National Football League. Now, the National Football League has got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of players being tested regularly. Now that it's the playoffs, I haven't heard a word about anybody catching COVID. Not a word. On the sideline, young Dylan and Debo, no social distancing. No one's wearing masks. That's a young kid. Who knows if he was vaccinated? According to the NFL, it'd be more like, who cares? What, did COVID just disappear? I'm in a fantasy hockey league, so I get notifications to my phone every day about my team through the Score mobile. Every other hour, a different player is being put in the COVID protocol in hockey. My entire team, by week's end, 20-something men will have been on the COVID protocol in the last month. All of a sudden, the NFL, mysteriously, the virus just is not touching the league. And then you want to take issue with me and Spencer about how we go in on the league? They don't care.
It's just funny. I'm not saying that these guys have really bad cases of COVID and they're like chucking them out there, but I guarantee you some of them have the Omicron virus. It's like almost every single week in the NFL, there was a list of guys on the COVID list.
A huge list.
Single soul
Not a
is
soul.
on that list.
Not a
There's
soul.
no way.
Not
there
a
is
soul.
no
Since
way.
the playoffs started, since the first game of Wild Card Weekend, I'm going to go back and do some digging. And this is your homework. We're going to do this project together. We're going to go back and we're going to find out the last player that was openly named on the COVID protocol in the National Football League.
Maybe Dalvin Cook, or
It's been 2 or 3 weeks.
Jeez, yeah, like they're not even in the playoffs. Like,
Why?
I feel like Dalvin Cook was the last.
It might have been, but I know there's other players. Why? This is what I'm talking about, right? Someone find me a clip. I'll send you a World of Matchups shirt. Find me a clip anywhere of Roger Goodell in the last month talking about COVID in the NFL. Anyone. The hypocrisy is so right, people. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. And I'm not saying it's not real. I've had COVID twice now. The Omicron variant is very mild. It comes and goes. If you're vaccinated, if you're not vaccinated, I don't know. That was my experience. The Delta virus almost put me in the ground. But the way people are acting, Adele canceled her whole residency here yesterday, asking for papers like it's Gestapo, Nazi Germany. Papers, please, to come see her $4,000 show. She's got no good songs anyway. What the hell is going on, folks? The NFL does not care about COVID. It never did. It cares about one thing, and that's money, and these games are going to go on. Watch the NFL for the rest of the year, folks, after you listen to this clip. Watch how these freaking interviews go after the game. Everyone is hugging. No one's wearing masks. No social distancing. And no one's going on the NFL COVID protocol. And I don't think anyone will. Why? Why? Because the Saturday before the Super Bowl Sunday, they don't want Aaron Rodgers coming up positive and not being able to play. That's why. Because they don't want Patrick Mahomes all of a sudden unable to play because he's positive, and no matter how many millions of tests you give him before Super Bowl Sunday, he ain't going to come up negative. That's why. So don't believe the hype. When Flavor Flav said don't believe the hype, this is what he was talking about. He was talking about a time like this. It's about money. It always has been. It's about control. It's about power. And I can go on and on about the COVID outside of the NFL, but that's not why we're here. But eyes open. Know what the NFL is. If you pick up a snake and it bites you, that's on you. You knew it was a snake. Let's not act like the powers that be in the NFL care about anything but money. Next. Discuss the Dallas Cowboys meltdown. Dear God. I thought I was going to actually be calm for the rest of the show, Spencer. Kudos to Tony Dungy. And I'll talk to you about him in a second. Dallas has lost some of the worst games at home of any team I've seen all season long. We were just talking about this. I love the Niners going into last week. Go back and look at the breakdown. I called it right down the middle. It was almost like Dallas was favored. Okay? I mean, as the Niners were favored. Dallas plays like a bunch of kittens kittens when it comes time to win a game that they have to win, and it's all about Mike McCarthy. If Jerry Jones was smart, he would get rid of this guy before he ate breakfast. He's not a winner. He piggybacked Aaron Rodgers to get that Super Bowl win. Have they forgotten that they have CeeDee Lamb on that team? What a disgrace. If I'm CeeDee Lamb, I'm trying to get out of there. Get me out of there. You got a quarterback that can throw the ball, and I don't get my first catch until the third quarter. And we already talked about Dak Prescott. Bro, you just can't say those things. I'm sorry. You just can't. And then to have the audacity, the gall, to talk about the refs when all you did was stink up the joint. Tony Dungy and NFL Twitter went in on you. Let's forget about the play clock in the last play. You weren't winning that game anyway, and to have Dak run it up the middle when the clock is ticking and you need that clock to stop is one of the most boneheaded. That is right up there with going for it like the Giants did in a quarterback sneak from your own end zone. That's right there with Brandon Staley going for it in his own 19 and 4th and 1. I mean, that is egregious. You give 169 rushing yards up, 5 sacks. You complete less than 60% of your passes. You ran for only 77 yards with Tony Pollard and Zeke, right? And you committed 14 penalties. 14! That, in my mind, is more concerning than anything that happened in the last 14 seconds of you clowns trying to convince America that that's why you lost.
Well, the series that all I need to know about for this game was when they had the roughing the kicker, a literal, like, never happens, right? They get a free first down at midfield. It's a big penalty. Punt it again. That was the series of the game for me. Not this, like, random, we should have had a chance at a Hail Mary. That would have won us the game. No, you stunk it up. And that punt is everything I needed to know about that game.
And I did the similar rant a couple weeks ago on my team. The refs aren't why you lost. Props to the Vegas Raiders. I mean, Rob the Raider was complaining about it a little bit in the text thread this week. A little bit. But that's not why you lost. You lost because Derek Carr threw a 4th and 1 pass 5 yards from the end zone.
How do you...
That's why you lost. You know what I mean? Dallas lost. Why? Because it's on the screen right now. That's why you lost. The Chiefs lost. Why? Because Jamar Chase was allowed to be Jerry Rice. We need to stop blaming the refs. Start taking some accountability. Start taking some ownership. Jerry, burn it down before your players turn on you. This is insanity that this was even allowed to be said. And if I'm a Dallas fan, I'm throwing trash on the field, but I'm not throwing trash on the field at the refs. I'm throwing trash on the field at the players. The players were abysmal in that game. That was a Niner home game. Did you see how many Niner fans were in that stadium? Jerry's world was red. And you Niner fans, let me take issue with y'all too. Y'all better fall back and stop acting like you just won the Super Bowl. All right? Yes, you won a big game. Humongous. We all loved it. We picked you. But win with some humility here. Y'all are out there fighting, puffing out your chest. Dude, Jimmy G's a scrub. And I think you're about to get mopped up. Win with some class. That's just one of several wins you need. And we like you as a dark horse, but let's pump the brakes a little bit. Some of y'all out there acting like a fool. Back to Dallas. If you guys don't get this fixed and fixed soon, you can't be losing at home to the Denver Broncos, to the Arizona Cardinals, to the Vegas Raiders. You can't be losing these kind of games and then expect the world to think that you could just flip the light switch on in the playoffs and win. Your tackling was terrible. Micah Parsons was in and out of this game. You looked horrible. And 2 of the most penalized performances of the entire National Football League season took place in your building by your team. I don't want to hear another word about America's team being the Dallas Cowboys. Not a word. America's team is now the Buffalo Bills. America's team is now the Kansas City Chiefs. America's team is not Dallas. It's not. Please fall back and get yourself together. Lick your wounds. Jerry, you got some work to do, and it starts by brooming this bum of a coach and Mike McCarthy. I knew it was bad, but this is awful. Next. Should NFL execs be forced to wait until a team season is over to interview coaches? I don't know why this isn't a thing. The question is absolutely a resounding yes. If I'm Andy Reid and you call me and you want to talk to Eric Bieniemy, I'm going to tell you you're going to have to wait till the season's over, Jack. Eric Bieniemy is busy helping me figure out what plays we're running this weekend versus the Buffalo Bills. You're not getting a Skype interview. You're not getting a Zoom interview. You better not send him no text or letters because we're going to call up the commissioner's office. Leave my coaches alone. And this is allowed to happen. Why? My focus for my executives needs to be on the task at hand. Now, if you're out of the playoffs, you can talk to them all you want. But guys who are currently have something to play for, whose focus needs to be on the game plan, you can't talk to them. And they're allowed to. It makes no sense. They do this nonsense, this malarkey in college too. I'm going to go draft all these guys. I'm going to get them to come to my team. It's going to be rah, 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 and Braveheart. Oh, wow, you want to offer me $10 million to go coach Florida? All right, I'm going to take that $10 million and I'm out. And then your players are like, oh, wait, what? Coaches are allowed to leave and not even coach in the bowl games. My goodness, are you kidding me? What, as a player, how does that make you feel as a young kid? It's like, dang. I guess all that stuff he came and told me and my mama wasn't true. All those dinners, nightmarish. Why is this allowed to happen? This needs to be implemented immediately in the National Football League amongst a million other rules that need to be fixed. If a coach is still alive in the playoffs, you can't talk to him. And if you do and you get caught, it should cost you some draft picks. Why is this why does that sound so crazy to everyone? It really shouldn't be. All right. I'm done ranting. Psych, I'm probably not, but today has been a very emotional show for me. I got some pent-up aggression. Folks, I'm about to bring in a real G in the NFL world, in the sports world, period. If you haven't checked this guy out on TikTok, YouTube, you know, him and his counterpart, Hector, Papa Smurf, Mr. Zachary Murphy from the Breaking Down the Tape podcast. He's about to come in, and we're going to break down the divisional games together. My name is Dexter Reed. This is Spencer the Wiz. You've been watching World of Matchups. You stay tuned on the flip. We're going to have him do what we do here, and we are going to tell you who's winning and losing this weekend. See you on the flip. Heroes Heating and Air are HVAC experts with great customer service and an unbeatable price point. They are certified Rheem heating and air conditioning equipment dealers in the Southern Oregon area, including Medford, Grants Pass, and Ashland. They offer free bids and estimates, 24-hour repair service, new installation and replacements, attractive maintenance agreements, and a senior citizen special with home efficiency replacements. Check them out online at heroesheatingandair.com or call 541-821-1615. All right, folks, it's the time of the show where we break down the games. Wild Card Weekend, World of Matchups went a resounding 6-0. I picked every single game correctly. Pretty much everything I said came to fruition. I'm feeling good. For the season, I have 179, 98, and 1. That's a pretty decent winning percentage, picking games, you know, albeit just straight winners Sunday and Monday and whatever Saturday games there were, and against the spread on Thursday. I'm looking to get that percentage up a little bit higher next year, but we're starting off with a good wild card weekend. To come in and help me break these games down, I would like to introduce my good friend Zachary Murphy from the Breaking Down the Tape podcast, a.k.a. Mr. Papa Smurf. We are going to break this down. This is where the information is. Don't let yourself get played out there thinking that you have to watch some of these bigger networks to know what's going on. We live, eat, sleep, breathe, and screw sports at the Breaking Down the Tape podcast and World of Matchups. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Mr. Zachary Murphy. What up, my man?
How you doing, brother? How's everyone doing
We're
today?
great, man. We appreciate you coming on. We know you're busy, got family, got jobs. We've been trying to get you on for a while, and so we appreciate having you in. Let's do the AFC games first, Zach. We're going to start with the Bengals at the Titans. You tell me who you think is going to win that game. You tell me why you think they're going to win that game. You tell me what you think the final score is.
Oof. So this is a tough one, man. I mean, you got Derrick Henry's getting the start. I think that just came out earlier today. So I'm still not sure as far as their wide receiving core, how healthy they are. I know they were a little banged up towards the end of the season. But honestly, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, man, I don't know how anyone can look at the Bengals right now and not think they have more than a fighting chance. So despite how well the Titans have been playing, that defense is really good. Mike Vrabel has turned that team around. Ryan Tannehill's been doing enough, and honestly, even a little bit more than enough from what he's been asked of. So the Titans are going to give a good fight, but in all honesty, I've got Joe Burrow probably throwing 400 and something yards. Jamar Chase probably catching 120 of it, maybe for 2 touchdowns, and I've got the Bengals up over the Titans. Let's call it 37-34.
Man, whoo. It got hot in here just now. I'll tell you, this is a game that I've struggled with all week. I don't care what anyone says. This is the hardest game of the slate to pick because they are resounding things on both sides that could easily come to fruition. So you take the Bengals. I flipped. I was on the Bengals train till yesterday. I am going to go with the Titans, and I'm going to tell you why. The Titans are a good team. They're a great team at home. Derrick Henry, like you said, the AP just said, he will be back. Now, the football Frankenstein could look one of two ways. But after seeing what Cam Akers has been able to do, I have no doubt in my mind that we're going to get the real Derrick Henry. Offensive line is good. I really like Mike Vrabel. This is a young group of kittens in Cincinnati who have been getting all the calls the last couple weeks. The Titans are rested. I think this is the week that you see them realize why they were the 1 seed. Now, I haven't liked the Titans really much this year. I picked Houston to beat the Titans week 18. I did. But Burrow and Chase are going to do their thing. They're going to get theirs. Henry and Tannehill, they're going to get theirs. I think it boils down to what team plays better defense, and I think that's going to be the home team in Tennessee. I think it's really hard to rattle Joe Burrow, and I like the boatload of confidence that he does have, but sometimes that much confidence can be problematic, and I think it could bite you here. Ryan Tannehill has been bad all year, but Ryan Tannehill does something that I think a lot of people don't realize he does, and he does well. When it's third and long, when it's 3rd and goal, Ryan Tannehill's going to take off, and he's going to score. He does it all the time, and I don't see it being different here. I think the lack of playoff experience is going to come back, and it's going to bite Cincinnati here. I do think their studs play well. I don't think that people recognize that Tennessee's secondary has played well this year for what everyone thought was going to be a bad secondary. And so I'm taking the Titans in a nail-biter. And I do think there will be less points in this game than people think because they're going to control the clock with Henry and keep Burrow on the sidelines. Final score, Tennessee 27, Cincinnati 24. Next, let's talk about what I think could be the game of the year. I think this could be better than the Super Bowl. My Kansas City Chiefs are playing at home versus the Buffalo Bills. What for me is like all the marbles. I think whoever wins this game will be favored throughout the end of the game, throughout the end of the year, Papa Smurf, tell me your thoughts on this game and who you think is going to do what they need to do.
Ooh, this is tough, man. I'm a New Yorker by nature. I lived in Missouri, so there's a little bit of affinity for both of these teams. Last year, what was it, the AFC Championship? The Chiefs beat the Bills, to go on to the Super Bowl. Stephon Diggs stayed out on the field and watched them celebrate and took that personally and is back this year with revenge. I don't know, man. It's hard not. I've got a lot of Bills Mafia friends. It's hard not to live on that hype train and not see what they're doing up there. But their run game scares me. I'm a big proponent of if your quarterback leads your team in rushing yards, you're going to be hard pressed to win the game or move on in the playoffs. So for me,
Just said, folks, what he just said.
yeah, for me, it comes down to Devin Singletary. And I'll tell you this, and I said it on our most recent episode, and I'll say it again here. If Devin Singletary can get 80-plus rushing yards and lead his team in rushing yards, the Bills win. If Devin Singletary cannot, and he cannot meet either one of those kind of stipulations, then the Chiefs win. I think this is going to be I think this would be crazy. I mean, Bills defense is really good. Chiefs defense has been playing good. This is hard. I know I have to eventually stand on one side or the other here.
Oh, you've been waiting all week for this.
Give me the Bills. Oh, I can't believe I said that out loud. Give me the Bills. I'll take my division rivals, the Bills, in a 30-24 win over the Chiefs.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we're on other sides of the fence. I don't like when I bring people on and we both agree. It just makes for better media when we both have different takes.
Sure.
And so the Kansas City Chiefs are my team. I'm going to die on that hill. I don't care how good they are. I don't care how bad they are. When they bury me in my coffin, I want to be wearing a Patrick Mahomes jersey. This is just how it's going to go down for me. This game, to me, is a coin flip. I don't care what the spread says. I don't care what those media pundits say. This is a coin flip, okay? What I watched Josh Allen do to the mighty New England Patriots last week is nothing short of miraculous. They dominated that team, and that's a great defense with a Hall of Fame coach. Now, albeit they were home and there was 20 years of pent-up aggression behind it, they did what they needed to do. I think that a lot of people are being prisoners of the moment. It's not that easy to translate that kind of win on the road next week. Styles make fights in the UFC. Styles make fights in the NFL. And I believe that the Kansas City Chiefs, because they've had such an up-and-down season with a really, really slow start, aren't really getting the kudos that they deserve here. The Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs have done nothing but win, especially at home the last 3 or 4 years versus good teams. Now, the Bills went to Kansas City and they stuck their foot in their ass week 5. However, this is a different Kansas City Chiefs team. The Bills are without Tre'Davious White. That is humongous. The Chiefs did not have Melvin Ingram on that team. They were missing Chris Jones that day. They were missing a bunch of players that day. Everyone is pretty much back, and now you have the emergence of guys like Jerick McKinnon, Jerick McKinnon looked fantastic last week. Did you see that game, Spencer? Who was this? This guy came out of nowhere. Andy Reid will outcoach Sean McDermott on Sunday. And the only person on the Bills that I'm worrying about, the only person, is Josh Allen. If you can contain Josh Allen, you're going to win that game. That player is everything to that team. And like I said, sometimes to beat the Goliath, you have to take down the head. Control Josh Allen. You can't stop him because you know he's going to get his. Devin Singletary doesn't worry me as much. I think the Chiefs will be able to stop the run. I think the X factor in this game, just like it was the X factor the last time we played them in the AFC Championship game, will be home field advantage. And let's be honest, folks. Playoff Patrick Mahomes is different. Playoff Patrick Mahomes is built different. Everyone's talking about Joe Burrow and how amazing he is and what you just saw from the big guy, Mr. Josh Allen. You don't think Patrick Mahomes is home taking notes? You saw what he did Sunday night? You saw how they did it? You got everyone touching the ball. Everyone's scoring. You don't know where the ball's going. If you double Kelsey, Tyreek's going to eat. If you double Tyreek, Kelsey's going to eat. If you double them both, Robinson, Hardman, those guys are serviceable. They're more than serviceable. If any of those guys have you just don't know who's having the big game. So I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs, and I've been calling for this. Papa Smurf, I've been calling for this all year long, and it just hasn't happened yet. And it's going to happen this week. Harrison Butker, in the most dramatic 1-minute drill of all of Kansas City Chiefs history, will get to a point where it is a makeable field goal, 55, 56, and the balls are on the table, and Andy Reid's going to say, go out there and win it, son. And he is going to kick a ball that's going to win a 1-point game for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's going to send them on to the next round. And the Buffalo Bills will once again be standing there watching the Chiefs celebrate. That's how I see that game going, with all the dramatics you could possibly imagine happening on Sunday Night Football. You thought the dramatics that you saw on Raiders-Chargers was unreal. This game is going to say, hold my beer. All right, folks. Those are the first set of games. We're going to take a little commercial break here, make sure our sponsors get the love that they deserve. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about the NFC games in all their splendor. My name is Dexter Reed. That's Spencer the Wiz, Popper Smurf, hitting us with the ones and twos. Coming back in just a second. All right, folks, welcome back. It's time for the NFC. We showed the AFC a lot of love. I'm an AFC guy, but we'd be remiss if we didn't break down all the games, because that's what World of Matchups is about. Myself, Spencer the Wiz, Papa Smurf, Breaking Down the Tape podcast can be found all over the place, folks. Don't play yourself not getting this information. These guys are fabulous. Niners at Packers. Woo! Another really good playoff game. These games are going to be great. Papa Smurf, tell us what you're thinking about this game, who's going to win, why, and what the final score is going to be.
Oh, man, another one. So shout out to my boy Hector. He's also breaking down the tape. He's my co-host. He said what he said. He said it from the beginning. If the Niners can sneak into the playoffs, nobody's going to want to play them. They're going to be the most dangerous team potentially in the entire thing. I think the Niners are 4-0 against the Packers in recent history. I know they're going into Lambeau. The Packers have had a week off, which isn't always the best thing in the world. Niners have been riding a hot streak. Jimmy G is Trent Dilfering his way through the playoffs. He's not losing you games, but he's also not winning them. Deebo Samuel is a whole grown man in every sense of the word. So I don't know how I can look at this and not take the Packers. I feel like it's ridiculous to say out loud San Fran, but they are a problem in the playoffs, man. They are a legitimate issue for teams in the playoffs. I'm still taking Aaron Rodgers because I don't know if you can look at this in his final season in Green Bay and say he's getting knocked out one and done. So I'm taking Green Bay. Man, and I'm taking it in like a 14-10, to be honest with you. I don't think he goes out and looks crazy. I think the Niners do give him issues, so I'll call it like 14-10 Packers.
I like it. I like it a lot. Spencer, can you find out what the spread for this game is, please? I like the Packers a lot here too. But I could just, you basically just stole my thunder. Everything you said is what I've been thinking all week long. All week long, I've been like, the Niners. Just like Hector said, if you go back in World of Matches, I've been saying this for weeks. The team that nobody wants to see is the San Francisco 49ers. Nobody want to see them. No matter what you say, you don't want it with them. This is a team that's on a mission. Deebo Samuel has had facial hair since he was 9 years old. This team can win despite Jimmy G. And that's all you need to know. Ayuk is God. Kittle hasn't done anything. A breakout's coming for him. They stopped the run. Shanahan calls plays. They are grown men. And you saw they destroyed Dallas. Dallas was never in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And the kryptonite for Aaron Rodgers throughout his career has been the Niners. Now, I'm telling you, I'm taking the Packers for a couple reasons. Why? Number one, they're home. They're home. I've been to Lambeau twice. That is one of the most electric places to watch football I've ever been. You cannot call yourself a real football fan if you haven't been to Green Bay for Green Bay football. I'm not even a fan of Green Bay, but the nicest people in the world live in Green Bay. I could go to this day. This is in the 90s. I could go to some of these people's house for Christmas. I've kept in contact with some of these people. They're fantastic. All they care about is cheese, beer, and football. Okay? So this is a real home field advantage. That's number one. Number two, the Niners beat up on the Packers, but they do it in their stadium. I don't think they can do it on the road. And Jimmy G is not 100%. Jimmy G is Trent Dilfering his way through, and he's riding on the coattails of that defense. If he starts and plays, there's going to be mistakes that Jimmy G makes in this game that's going to cost him points. I see at least one pick, maybe a fumble to go with it. It's going to be cold. I do like what you're saying about it being a lower scoring game. Everyone's going to expect fireworks. I see the under coming through as well. Spencer, what was the spread on that game?
It's a 5.5-point spread in favor of the Packers, obviously.
5.5 points. I like the Packers, and I like the Packers to cover. I like the Packers to cover. Folks, Aaron Rodgers is not ending his career this way. Okay? Aaron Rodgers is going to the Super Bowl. We know this. It's happening. I don't care who it's against. They're going to find a way to do it. I think that people are sleeping on the muscle that the Packers have. You know, A.J. Dillon's a grown-ass man, too. Let's not forget what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's an X factor in this. The San Francisco weakness is their secondary. So you know Devontae's going to eat. And you know Aaron Rodgers, broken toe and all, will take off. 3rd and 8, Aaron Rodgers, if everyone's covered, is running and putting his body on the line. And I think that this game is going to pull away late. And I think the Packers win this game and cover. When there's a chalk pick, that's a trendy pick, and everyone's on the bandwagon like the Niners are, it lasts for a while, but it's hard for it to go all the way to the Super Bowl. Especially this is a really tough ask. And if Jimmy G was 100% healthy, I'd feel a lot better about it, but he's not. There were rumblings coming out this week out of San Francisco that he may not even play this week. So it's bad. Believe me, if he's out there was a couple needles that took place in the locker room. And so for those reasons alone, I know there's not really a second receiver in Green Bay. They really don't have a tight end. But somehow, some way, Aaron Rodgers and that team is going to cover the spread and win this game. And the Packer defense is going to have a say about it as well. My final is going to be 21-14. Green Bay just covers, and they move on to the next round. And I don't expect to see any rust from this team. This is the type of team that needed the rest, and I think they're going to be sharp, and I think they're going to beat the Niners up. Debo will get his. Debo's going to get his. But Lambeau Field in January is I give the Niners a 20% chance to win this game. And that's being generous. And finally, Rams at the Bucks. What an interesting game this one's going to be. A lot of different moving parts in this game. Who do you like to win this game? Why do you like them? And what do you think the final score is going to be?
For any of our mutual fans, they have been hearing me scream this next phrase since literally the beginning of the season. It is Matt Stafford's season. It is his time. And I heard you just say Aaron Rodgers has gone to the Super Bowl. And no, I don't think he is. I think Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams are going all the way. And I have them beating the Bucks. So right now, Mike Evans has been in and out with injuries. From what I understand, Tristan Wirfs, one of their top, linemen, is right now in a walking boot. Haven't made a decision if he's in or out of the game. They don't have playoff Lenny, at least to my knowledge, just yet. Rojo was out last game, I believe. So they're on third string running backs who did produce, but how long can you ask that for when you're playing against the world's most terrifying human in Aaron Donald? Oh, and then there's Von Miller and there's Jalen Ramsey. I know we're talking about Tom Brady here, and as a New York Jets fan, I've been abused by Tom for the last 20 something years, right? But my other abuser, Bill Belichick, just got knocked out. So hey, who's to say that it won't happen again? Cam Akers is got to be made of something that's more than human. I don't know what it is,
human.
but you don't tear your Achilles and then come back and play football in the same season. That doesn't happen. That's
later.
not real. Yeah, that's not real. OBJ starting to play. He's even getting in on the passing game. I love everything about the Rams, and I'm staying on Matt Stafford season. I think they beat the Bucks. I think we're looking at like a 21-20 kind of score here, a 1-point game. But I'm taking the Rams. I'm taking Matt Stafford to go out there and play some honest to God great football.
I love it all, bro. Man, I love having you on the show, man. I'm happy we were able to get you. I really am, Zach. So, I'm going to piggyback what Papa Smurf just said, and I'm telling you point blank, going in the door right now, the Rams are winning this football game for a lot of different reasons.
Let's go.
I watched Bruce Arians send Tristan Wirfs back into the game last week when Tristan Wirfs could hardly walk. And I said to my wife, what is this clown doing? That guy is like Joe Biden's security advisor, and you sent him back into the game? That guy protects Tom Brady with his life, and he's hobbling around. I think he was hurt. I think he got more hurt after he was sent back into the game. That is problematic as a coach, number one. So now, Tristan Wirfs is a walking boot. If he is out there, you know he's less than 100%. Number one. Still have not heard about what playoff Lenny's going to do. Rojo is going to be out. He's on the other side of doubtful. Can Keyshawn Vaughn really meet Aaron Donald in the middle of the field with any chance of really doing much? I'd say the answer to that question is no.
No.
I would also like to go on record as saying the most fraudulent fan base in all of professional sports that is left in the playoffs right now is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Those fans were not showing up when it was the Tampon Bay Buccaneers. You weren't there. You weren't there. So all this fire the cannons nonsense, I'm not feeling it at all, okay? I'm not saying what you did last year was a fluke. I'm just saying, where were you a couple of years ago when that defense was getting gashed mercilessly? There was no one there. It's all Tom Brady. And I think this week he's in trouble because the protection's going to break down. Aaron Donald, made in a lab, demands a triple team. He makes the rest of that defense really, really good. Now, Von Miller's there. Von Miller making any contribution at all is going to be a great deal for the LA Rams. This is why they went and got Von Miller. That was one of those trades that actually worked out for both sides. Usually someone gets fleeced. Both sides are going to be making hay with that. Now, the way you beat the Buccaneers is through the air. And what do the Rams do great? Cooper freaking Kupp. OBJ. And can we give OBJ his flowers in case you guys didn't hear me from last week about how he wasn't the problem in Cleveland? Baker Mayfield shouldn't even be in the NFL after this travesty. Trick plays. Sean McVay's a great coach. They are not scared at all. They are going down to Tampa with boatloads of confidence. Boatloads.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't even talked about the real heroes of this game yet. Cam Akers was built in a friggin' lab. I have never in my life seen a player ever come back from a torn ACL to put on that kind of performance in 6 months.
That's video
ran
stuff.
All over those guys. I thought it was going to be the Sony Michel show, which, just in case we need him, we could sprinkle in Sony too. Now, you can't really run on Tampa, but I think they're going to be able to run on Tampa this week. I think there's going to be some screens that are dialed up, and I think at the end of the day, just like you said, bro, this is going to be the coming out party for Matthew Stafford. I think there are some people in America right now that still don't believe that this guy is legitimate. I really believe that. I saw a tape of Matthew Stafford when he was on the Lions where he played with a dislocated shoulder, was on the sideline limping. Any other quarterback in the NFL, I don't care who it is, Mahomes, Brady, they're going to the locker room. He said, pop it back in. I'm going back in, through the game-winning touchdown, and then went to the locker room. Let's not forget who this man is. Let's not forget who the two greatest wide receivers to ever have the best seasons, who that quarterback was. Let's not forget who was throwing the ball to Megatron. Let's not forget who's throwing the ball to Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp ain't throwing the ball to himself. It's Matt Stafford.
Thank you.
And so, just like you said, if the Bills could smash the Patriots in prime time and send Bill Belichick home, why can't Tom Brady be on his way to Cancun? I see this as being a resounding Rams win. And if I'm a betting man, I'm taking out a second and a third mortgage, and I'm laying it all on the Rams. Why? Because America's going to be gassed about how good the Buccaneers are. Let me tell you something. They're good, but they're beatable. And the refs helped them win that game last week versus the Eagles. Don't get gassed. Don't be scared. The Rams are a legitimate team, and they are going to actually show up and win this game outright. And I personally think this game should be a pick 'em. I don't care that Tom Brady's on the other side. People are acting like Tom Brady's not 44 years old.
He doesn't play like it, though. I'll tell you
what. But without protection and without the roughing the passer calls and without the whole world swinging from his nuts, he is an average quarterback. He's a smart guy. He's not a great athlete.
That's fair.
I'm sorry. And at the end of the day, if I have to choose Tom Brady at home with not the best protection or Aaron Donald salivating on the road, I'm taking Aaron Donald to get in there and put some heat on Tom Brady, and I see them making some mistakes. I just wish Jalen Ramsey shadowed the other team's best receiver. I want to see Jalen Ramsey on Mike Evans until the game is over, and you're not going to see that. So it's going to be closer than people think. I do believe, like you, that the Rams are going to win this game and shock the world. Next week is next week, so I'm not going to put the cart before the horse, but this is the one road team that I like to win this week in the Los Angeles Rams, and do us all a favor and be America's team and send Tom Brady to bed. Please and thank you on behalf of World of Matchups and Papa Smurf and Hector. I said what I said in Breaking Down the Tape podcast. Do this for America. That's it.
Please.
That's the breakdown, folks. Now, the way to put people on is to have people on. And I love doing collabs with people, man. I've been trying to get Zach on for weeks. Zach's a big Jet fan, like my friend Peter Drago. Shout out, Peter. My man Stallone from Long Island. What do you see? What do you need to see from your New York Jets here? Personally, I'm one of the few people that think the Jets are actually the best team in New York right now, outside of the Bills. I think the Giants are a dumpster fire. What do you need to see from your Jets moving forward next year? What are you hoping to see happen? Because there is some promise.
So it's a little too, I don't know, you said you have friends that are Jets fans. So the life cycle of a Jets fan is in the preseason, we get to a point where we live on the hype. This is our year. I really think we could win 10 games. And then 2 weeks in, we hate ourselves. And then we're like apathetic and angry for the rest of the season. And then we end the season just miserable because somehow the end of the season got worse. So right now, I'm in that ending life cycle, right? I'm in the miserable life cycle. So I would love to see Woody Johnson sell the team. That's step one. Step two is I really like Robert Saleh. I really like our OC LaFleur. I'm back and forth on our DC. I like what we're doing with the defense. If
Wilson,
I do like Zach Wilson. He showed a lot of progression throughout the season. My biggest issue with him is he tries to wear the cape. He tries to be Superman too much, and that leads to him holding the ball too long. It leads to him trying to force the ball into spaces he really shouldn't. But if the worst knock I can have on my quarterback is he's overconfident, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'd rather overconfidence than Sam Darnold, who was scared. So I would like to see us get another lineman, because we've got a great backfield, a great running backfield with Carter. Perrine's kind of dropped off. He wasn't exactly where we wanted him to be, but Ty Johnson, Tevin Coleman, so if we can get a line that can block for Zach and pave the way for those guys, I'll be happy. I want me a DK Metcalf, what Denzel Mims was supposed to be, what we all were praying for him to be. And I don't know how somebody that big and that fast doesn't wind up being that, but he hasn't. So if I could get me like a true number one, Braxton Berrios, like your great value version of Cooper Kupp, which is not an insult.
Berrios. I like
Berrios.
him, man. He's like a poor man's Hunter Renfrow.
That's what I'm saying, man. In the kick returns, he's electric.
Kupp, Renfrow, Berrios. Those are like the unheralded, librarian-looking wide receivers that get busy in the National Football League. I like Berrios a lot.
So if we can get, like a big guy, a big deep field threat, to help open up Berrios underneath, that would make me happy. On the defense, injuries early in the season with Lawson, both Lawsons really hurt us. So if we can get back healthy with Lawson, both of them, and Rankins, CJ Mosley is a great middle linebacker. If we can get a good corner, I like Eccles and the other Michael Carter. I like them both, but I'd like to go out and get a veteran, a B+ kind of guy to help teach them and help spell them. But other than that, man, that's really, I want to work on my offense. That's kind of the big thing for the Jets.
Score points to win in the National Football League, man, and the Jets, they just don't score enough. But I think that their future is a lot brighter than other teams, and they're no longer really the laughing stock of the league. I'm telling you, they've beaten teams at home the last couple of years. They beat Dallas, they beat Cincinnati. I mean, those are quality teams. I know it's on the road, and every dog can have his day, but it just shows you that there is talent. I'd like to see what Zach Wilson can do if he had a little bit more protection and another person to throw the ball to besides a guy like Jamison Crowder. So I like the breakdown, dude, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do for you next year. So we'd be remiss if we didn't give you an opportunity to shamelessly plug yourself, man. This is what we do here at World of Matchups. You know what I mean? Tell the people who you and Hector are. Tell you how you came to be. Tell them how they can hear you, listen to you. Let's have it all, bro.
Awesome. Well, first, before I get into it, man, thank you for having me on. Like you said, we've been working towards this for a while. Just kind of a busy man, so I apologize that it took so long. We got to get you on breaking down the tape soon, brother. But yeah, so breaking down the tape came because I would get drunk a lot during Jets games and post a lot of angry statuses on Facebook. So a bunch of friends of mine were like, hey, you really gotta, you gotta do a podcast. You gotta have people listen to you get drunk and mad about the Jets. I was like, nah, no one's gonna listen. So the pandemic hit and I didn't really care if anyone was listening. I did it for me. A lifelong friend of mine, Hector, was there from day one, encouraging me and telling me what he thought and giving me advice and stuff. So I was like, hey man, it's kind of boring talking to myself. Why don't you join me? And then it just kind of took off from there. So, yeah, grew up right 2 houses down from me. So good friends. Recently moved away, which stinks, but that's all right. I still see him. He's still on. But yeah, you can find us on Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube. I want to start doing some more stuff on YouTube. I'm like a season recap for the Jets and stuff like that. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on TikTok all the time. Twitter.
Fire, folks.
Thank
all
you,
sports
you.
too,
Yeah.
not just NFL. Just so you guys know, like, this is an NFL show, not to cut you off, bro, but like all sports. Breaking down the tape spans all major sports, so don't play yourself wishing you knew what was happening because, like, this guy will talk about golf if he has to. It's fantastic.
Amen. You're 100% right. We are sports junkies. Little aside, I'm such an addict for sports that when the pandemic was at its height and we had everything shut down in the U.S., I would wake up at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning so I could watch Korean baseball. Like, I need sports in my life. So,
me and
please.
Spencer, real sports degeneracy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's no other way to be about it.
I agree, man.
I scouted Asia Wilson in women's college basketball before she came to the Aces. That's my my breadth of.
I'll go watch a Vegas Aces game. I'll watch 2 roaches race. I mean, I don't know.
Amen.
That's just kind of who
Amen.
I am. It's just a
Amen, bro. If it's sports on, my poor daughter's like, Daddy, this isn't football. I'm like, I don't care. It's sports. I don't care if it's competitive ping pong. We're watching sports.
Well, cool, man. We want to thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts having you on. You know, like I said earlier, man, you want to get put people on, you know, get your followers, you get my followers. Doing these collabs is a lot of fun for me, and people get tired of hearing me talk, you know, and like you and Hector, that's kind of how I feel about me and Spencer. You know, it's kind of like a relationship that's kind of grown from day one, you know, from producer to friend, and now, like, me and Spencer literally could sit in the dark with a flashlight and just giggle about football. It's kind of ridiculous, but look, man, there's worse things that grown men could be out there doing, and so I really love it, and we appreciate having you. We look forward to collabing with you guys again. Good luck on your picks this weekend. Good luck with the Jets in the future. We've got each other's numbers. We're linked in all over social media. Let's definitely stay in touch. Ladies and gentlemen, Papa Smurf, Mr. Zach Murphy from Breaking Down the Tape podcast. We'll talk to you soon, bro. You take care of yourself. God bless you and your family.
Thank you. You as well, sir.
All right, folks. That's the breakdown. Boy, what a good show. I really enjoyed doing that. This is just so much fun for me. I don't know. A lot of people won't understand. Well, I guess that's why you're not my people. We're going to go over World of Matchups picks for the week. We are taking the Titans at home to take care of business. The Chiefs in the absolute most dramatic fashion imaginable that could be played out on the gridiron Sunday night. I'm taking the Packers to cover at home versus the very upstart and hot San Francisco 49ers. And I'm taking the Rams to shock the world. Rocky versus Clubber 2, when no one thought Rocky had a shot. No one's going to think the Rams have a shot to win this game. And they're not only going to win this game, they're going to win this game comfortably. That's the show. We want to thank you guys for watching, okay? Just remember, we are always here on social media. Check us out. Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. Like, subscribe. Go to grabit.com. Put in your email address. Make a quick account. It is free. Free free. That's where all the World of Matchup content is. And there's some really other cool content that Grab It Television puts out, and I think you might like it. Check it out. That way, if you show us love, we'll be able to show some back. On behalf of Grab It Television, my man Spencer the Wiz to my right, my name is Dexter Reed, and you have been watching the most progressive, uncensored, and just emotionally filled tirade-laced National Football League television show to hit the big screen this year. You have been watching World of Matchups. Enjoy the games, everybody. We will see you next week for Championship Week.